Hey friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to Stronger Every Day. Today we're going to talk about a little bit about me, maybe a little bit about you. I'm sure I'm not the only one about striving for perfection. I've talked about in several videos, my heart and hope is to be God's hands and feet here on earth. In particular, this past year, I felt that on my heart. I pray that every day on the way to work. God, let me be your hands and feet for people. And do I succeed every day? No. Do I fail some? Yes. But that's my heart to be that way. And I had recently, somebody had reached out about podcast information. And I don't watch a ton of podcasts. I will watch Candace Cameron Bure occasionally. I haven't watched all of them, but one caught my eye. I'll try to link it below. And it was talking about depression and dealing with it, and kind of the judgment that you get from others when you struggle with it. And one of the things it was talking about that really hit with me, I don't remember exactly how they phrased it, but it was the standard, right? And so growing up, there was a standard that I needed to be at, and that standard was in everything. So it was the way I looked, the way I talked, the way I dressed, that I was a professional at every sport I played, which was softball, tennis, volleyball, basketball, track, that I was a professional at every one of those, right? Professional league at every one of those, that my grades were straight A's, that the people I hung around with were the right people. And it was a standard that if I didn't get to that standard, that's when I received love, is that when I actually hit that standard, which wasn't often. And so what it has taught me throughout my life is that you're only loved when you are perfect. And striving to be perfect has nearly killed me. But God, if not for God, I wouldn't still be here. There were many times when I checked out, was ready to check out, and tried to check out. We'll leave it at that. You can read into that. There were many times that I prayed, God, don't let me wake up in the morning. And still to this day, I strive for perfection. It's hard for me not to back off that. Am I perfect in everything I do? No, not even close. But that's what I strive to be. And so my weight fluctuates semi-decent. And it doesn't matter if I'm a size 2 or a size 22. It doesn't matter. It's not perfect. So there is no, I can't meet that level, right? In the way that I look, the way that I dress, obviously my hair, nothing's ever good enough. And so it's been something I've had to break chains off of, right? It's been a long time of trying to break chains. Friends, the only person ever to walk this earth that was perfect was Jesus. Now we need to strive to be as Christ-like as possible, but understand that we can't meet the perfection level in every aspect of our life, not even in most aspects of our life. We're going to fail at some point. We don't want to fail. I don't strive for failure. I strive for perfection. But I watched that podcast and it got me thinking thinking back to the standard that, you know, if you make straight A's, and if you maintain a good weight and muscle, if you look a certain way and have the right friends and participate in the right organizations, and if you go 4 for 4, if you score 30 points a game, there was always an if, then I got the pat on the back and good job. But those were so few and far between. And now that is my life of striving for perfection. And Nick has told me this, my supervisor has told me this. It's great that that's your heart, that you want to be God's hands and feet. That is admirable. That's something to go for. And that's what we love about you. But you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to accept those mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and move forward. And that's hard for me because I don't like making mistakes. I feel like a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves from things that have happened in our childhood. Not that one person or two people or three people are to blame, but different things that maybe didn't mean anything to the person that did or said them, but has changed you throughout your life. I've told you semi-openly that my mom and I had a very rough relationship growing up. I'll always say this: my mother loved me with every ounce of her. However, she struggled with major depression and anxiety, and it was largely undiagnosed for years and years and years until I moved out of the house at 18. And even years after that. But it was very difficult because she had a standard of the daughter she thought I should be, and that was perfection. And I was never that daughter. I was more of a tomboy. I didn't like dresses. I didn't like skirts. I didn't care about fixing my hair. I've always worn a little bit of makeup. I mean, I look better to myself when I have makeup on. But other than that, I was just never really the girly girl. I played a lot of sports. I hung out with guys and girls. I mean, it was just a big group of us that would hang out all the time. But there was never that perfection that I ever met with her. And I never felt good enough. You know, multiple times she would say, you know, you're just a spoiled little bee. I never knew what spoiled meant because I was afraid to ever ask for anything, because I didn't want to be that person. And so, but she knew that cut me to the core, and so she would say it often. That's why today, and I've touched about this in a little bit, I don't buy anything for myself. I had a pillow. No, Nick got me a new pillow, but I had a pillow that it was so bad. I was having headaches and neck pain every single day for months and months and months. And would not go buy myself another pillow because I didn't deserve it. So Nick went and bought me another pillow. You know, I'll buy him stuff. I'll buy our four-legged kids stuff. I'll buy our friends and family stuff, but I won't buy it for myself. And because that's in my mind, it's in my background. And so it got me thinking that, you know, that's probably similar to a lot of us. We've had a lot of that happen in our past. And so it's molded us into the people we are today. Is that an excuse for bad behavior? No, it isn't. But if you can ever understand kind of the issue and what the problem is, maybe that can help you grow into the person you're wanting to be. And that podcast certainly helped me. And it also got me thinking, because about a month ago, the devil was kind of messing with me about the channel and about, you know, I think you've done enough. I think you've probably taken it to the max. It's probably time to just ring it in and let it go and just quit messing with the channel. You know, you've got a lot more responsibility now. You have a lot more things going on. You don't really have time for it. That night, I watched a Christian video, and she was talking about, you know, don't give up when things get hard. Keep moving forward. You know, God never promised things weren't going to be hard, but if it's His will, you keep moving forward. And I mean, if that wasn't a God moment, I don't know what was, of just Him saying, no ma'am, you know. And so here we are, you know, here we are still, but just the things that kind of get in our head, right? And my mind was, are you doing it perfect enough? Of course not. You know, I wish I had, you know, I wish my makeup looked better. I wish my hair looked better. I wish I had a different background, better lighting, better this, better that. But the fact is that none of that stuff matters. That's all just the glitter, the rainbows and glitter, right? What matters is that God's coming through my heart to talk with you, and you're talking back with me, and we're having open communication about depression and anxiety and mental illness, and how we can be there for one another, how it's okay to be a Christian and struggle with these illnesses. And moving forward, you're gonna love people more into getting healthier than condemning them and making them get worse. That's a big heart of mine on this channel, is loving people. loving them and showing them that it's okay to have what you're going through. There's ways to help. There's ways to get better. There's different treatments out there. There's different options out there. You're not alone. Instead of condemning and criticizing and condoning every person on earth that struggles with mental illness and then wondering why people are leaving the church in droves. We don't just judge mental illness, we judge anything. And one thing I loved about that our pastor talked about just the other day was everyone's welcome at our church. Everyone is welcome at our church. But I am not going to not read the Bible and preach from the Bible about things that may sting. Because if I love you, then I need to love you enough to tell you to preach from this word that might be something that you're out of line with. But everyone's welcome at this church. And he references our church as a hospital church. And I hope that's kind of what this channel feels like. That I'm not gonna sugarcoat things and tell you everything's gonna be gravy, because if you've struggled with depression and anxiety for any time, you know that's not true. But I'm also not going to condemn and criticize and judge you either. We get plenty of that. I think every single day of our lives we get plenty of judgment, condemnation, backstabbing, gossip. We don't need that. And that's why I don't delete comments. But if there is a comment spoken against God, that will automatically get deleted. And if there's a comment spoken against one of you all, that will automatically get deleted. Other than that, I feel like we have a very open community here on this channel where we can talk back and forth. And I hope that in the comments you can see there's other people not struggling. But even if not a single soul comments on the channel, I'm right there with you. And I hope you understand that we are not alone. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of diagnosed people that struggle with depression and anxiety and other mental illnesses, let alone the undiagnosed. So it's that striving for perfection. That's something that I'm actively trying to work on for me, for Chrissy, is that it's okay when you fail. God knows my heart. He sees my heart. He sees where I'm trying to go with it. And there's going to be occasions you're going to fail. You're not going to make it. But I told Nick, so I had made a mistake at work, and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. Came home, talked to Nick about it, thought about it and thought about it all night. Went back into work the next day, and I was talking to my supervisor, and she was like, "You're still thinking about that, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes. Yes." And she's like, "You are not going to be perfect. You have to understand that." And Nick's told me that I don't know how many times. If a situation happens, even if I'm not even part of the situation, but I was in the room with it, it's not that they did or said something. It's that it upset me, and so I'm upset with myself that I got upset. Does that make sense? So I take it on that, you know, I can't experience any emotion or any failure, or I'm not being the best perfect Christian ever. And that's just not true. You're gonna experience emotions. It's fine to experience emotions. It's about how you react to those emotions that God's looking at. But he's also looking at your heart. So when you make an error or a mistake, or when maybe somebody cuts you off in traffic and then they, you know, whatever, maybe instead of saying, "Lord, just pray, I want to pray for them," maybe they're in a hurry, maybe you do something else, right? There's going to be occasions where it's not perfect Christians, and I hold myself to such a high standard that it's impossible to meet. And that podcast really kind of gave me a sense of like, okay, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I'll link it below because I think it's a really good one to watch. As far as what do I watch as podcasts, I don't watch a ton of podcasts. I occasionally will watch hers. Our church has all of the messages that they preach. They have them recorded where you can rewatch them. There's our church in my hometown, which is one of my friends from elementary school, middle school, high school pastors. Occasionally I will go on there and watch his messages. It's more of the preachers that I know personally that I will go on and watch their messages. There's a couple preachers on YouTube that I will watch, But as far as podcasts, really, I don't watch a ton. That's kind of, it's going to be what touches your heart, right? Is it somebody that you can relate to that touches your heart? It might touch mine, but it might do nothing for you. Pray about it, and I feel like God's going to lead you to where you need to go. If you found this channel, God led you here, because there's no analytics or any of that stuff going on in the background. I don't know how to do any of that. I don't care to learn how to do any of that. I feel like God's going to bring who needs to come to the channel. But friends, I end every video this way. It's always my heart and hope that you feel this. God loves you. I love you. Your family loves you. Your friends love you. And we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.